Entrepreneur on Fire 966.
Make all your decisions from a place of love.
Hey, Fire Nation, and welcome to Entrepreneur on Fire, where I chat with amazing entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Who's ready to rock today, Fire Nation? John Lee Dumas here, and I am fired up to bring you our featured guest today, Justin Glover. Justin, are you prepared to ignite?
John, if I was any more prepared, I think I would be you.
Yes. We don't want that. One John per episode is enough. In 2014, early, Justin got tired of seeing so many aspiring entrepreneurs falling short and giving up on their goals and dreams. So we decided to do something about it. He shut down his $1 million per year business, found an amazing business partner, and started results513.com, one of the first online marketing training platforms in existence that provides intelligent marketing advice for entrepreneurs. So Justin, take a minute, fill in any blanks in the intro, and then give us a glimpse into your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here. So what's up, Fire Nation? I'm very happy to be here. Like John said, my name is Justin Glover. Live in Central Arkansas with my beautiful wife, Sarah, precious 11-month-old daughter, Kenna, and my little buddy Mason, who's one of the coolest wire-haired Dachshunds that you'll ever meet. So I first became interested in entrepreneurship back in 2002, but I didn't really start my personal entrepreneurial journey until after I had what I would call my draw the line in the sand moment, and that was in 2008. So I was working 100 plus hours a week, had 3 different jobs. And it's funny, my original goal was actually to start an online business that would make me enough money so I only had to work a quote-unquote normal 40-hour work week. So like a lot of people tend to do, I blew through about $30,000 before I had my any real financial success. But as I would figure things out, I would then in turn teach it to others. And it seemed like the more I did that, the faster my business was actually growing and the more money that I made. And so I was able to scale that first business to over $1 million in the span of about 22 months. And I started getting invited to speak on stage at different events around the world. Shortly after that, got married. You know, life was good. About 2 years ago, we'll call it, I got bored and ended up shutting down that business completely to basically start over from scratch. And I've been focusing on that for the last 2 years, and things are starting to move very quickly now, and we're really excited to see what the future holds.
So what is the 513? What does that signify?
That has a very important significance, actually, but we keep that closed to our members of Results 513.
That's kind of a cool little bonus for the members.
It's one thing that we talk about it. We have these weekly calls where we answer their questions live, and we talk about it. That's the only place that we actually share what that means.
Oh, I actually just Googled it, and it's right here on Warrior Forum. Can I share? I'm totally kidding, Justin.
Pretty sure it's fine. we try to keep it.
So Justin, you're at a networking party. Someone walks up to you and says, "What do you do?" In 10 seconds, how do you respond?
I've spent the last several years trying to answer that question. Uh-huh. It's one of the most difficult questions. And so I'm actually glad because I want to hear other people's response to this. But so basically, there are people out there that have a desire to start their own business on the internet, and maybe they have no idea where to start. Maybe they have an idea where to start, but for whatever reason, they can't seem to bring in more money than they actually spend. So I help those people figure out what the problem is and move past it.
Concise, clear, Fire Nation, taking notes. So let's talk about the origin story. Now, you brought us up to the point about why you started what you started, but let's get a little deeper into the actual reason that you left $1 million per year business and moved into something that was unknown, untested, and now with a partner. So tell us that specific story.
Sure. So there's 2 things that you probably need to understand for it to make total sense. First of all, I don't personally believe that people are born entrepreneurs. I believe that entrepreneurship is a way of thinking, and that particular way of thinking only happens when certain circumstances arise in people's lives. So I believe that every person on the planet has what I refer to as the draw the line in the sand moment, and the knowledge and beliefs that they have in that moment is what determines whether or not they continue on the same path that they were on, or if the switch is flipped and they start their journey as an entrepreneur. Because if they don't know that that is an option, then there's no way that they'll take that step. So the second thing is, growing up, I was actually taught that the only real way to be successful was to go to college, get a good job with a secure company, and work hard climbing that corporate ladder. So in the summer of 2008, I was, 25 then, working 3 jobs. I wasn't too good at managing money, so I had recently moved back in with my mother and stepfather after living out on my own for the last few years. I was living in their garage. We had turned it into sort of an apartment, put a door on it, and took the big garage door off. So it was my room. I could go in and out as I pleased. But not too long after I moved back in, I remember coming home from work late one night, and I walked through the door into my room, set my stuff down on the computer desk, and then plopped down on the futon to rest for a few minutes before going inside the main house to take a shower and get ready for bed. And as I was sitting there on the couch, I heard someone crying from inside the house. And I didn't pay too much attention to it. I thought it might have been a TV show they were watching, so I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. But as I went into the house to take the shower, I walked past the room where my mom was at, and I realized that it was actually her crying. And I didn't know why, or kind of shocked me. I didn't even know what to say. So I went ahead and got in the shower, and I was going to sort of think through it in my head while I was in the shower and say something whenever I got out. But whenever I got out, she had already went to bed. And, it hurt me. I thought about that night because it hurt me to see her crying. And, the next day she seemed fine, so I didn't say anything about it. But then a few nights later, the exact same thing happened. I was sitting on the futon after coming home from work, and I heard her crying inside the house. And whenever I went inside to see what was wrong, I found out that the reason she was crying was because she could not figure out how she was going to come up with enough money to pay the bills. And since I had moved back in with them, obviously their expenses had went up, the food, electricity, and everything. And what I didn't know was that before I moved in, they were already living pretty much paycheck to paycheck. And now that I was back, they literally could not afford to pay the bills. And my mother has such a giving heart and never wants to hurt anyone's feelings or burden anyone. So she couldn't actually bring herself to tell me that I was the reason that they couldn't pay their bills, and that I was the reason that she was crying and going through all this pain, and at nights when she thought everybody was sleeping. And the moment that I realized that I was the one causing my mom this pain, my heart immediately sank, and I wanted nothing more in the world in that moment but to fix it. The only problem was I was already working my butt off and had racked up so much bad debt before I moved in, I could barely pay my own bills. So for me, that was it. It was in that moment that I really wanted so bad to be able to help him out financially and fix that pain that I was seeing. But because of my poor financial decisions up to that point, I wasn't physically able to help. And wanting to help, but not being able to, is one of the worst feelings in the world to me. That feeling of hopelessness. And that was what I would consider to be my draw the line in the sand moment. That was really the moment that I made the promise to myself I would do whatever it takes to never again have to be in that type of situation. That's when I started reading books, learning about assets, liabilities, money management, and somewhere along the way, I decided that if I wanted to control my own financial destiny, then I needed to start up a business of my own. So that's what I did.
So your entrepreneurial line in the sand was drawn. You move forward from that, and you enter the roller coaster world that we all know as entrepreneurs, the ups, the downs. What was that down moment? What was that worst moment from that point forward that you experienced in your entrepreneurial journey that you would really consider the worst moment? And tell us that story, Justin.
So I had this draw the line in the sand moment, and I decided that I wanted to run my own business. The challenge was that I had 3 jobs, working all these hours, and so I knew if I wanted to do that, it needed to be online because my job consumed all of my other time. So before I had that that moment, and I heard my mom crying. I had a passion for show cars, and all of my extra money went to that hobby. But once I started learning about business, I forgot about that and became really passionate about business and marketing stuff that I was learning. So it was just fascinating to me. And as a result, I was working a lot of overtime just to make more money where I could buy more products and, further my education. And I just kept buying product after product after product, looking for this big secret to make everything work. So a few months into my journey, I'd spent close to, I think $30,000 on information products that promised to teach me how to build a business on the internet and get rich. And I was implementing the stuff that I was learning, but for whatever reason, I still wasn't making any money. So I was pretty frustrated with myself. I was on the verge of quitting. But before I quit, I decided that I was going to spend whatever extra money that I had in the bank from working overtime, which is like $2,000. And I was going to attend my first marketing seminar because all of the information products that I purchased, I would always hear people say, if you want to be successful, you need to attend live seminars and you need to have a mentor. Those are the two things that I had yet to do. And so I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to give those two things a shot. So I decided to attend that first conference and see if I could turn things around. I think that was in November 2008. I'd taken off work for the weekend to make the drive from Arkansas, where I live, to Atlanta, where the conference was. And I had, like I said, $2,000 in the bank, and the plan was to spend as little as I had to spend in order to get there. That way I would have some money to implement whatever I learned while I was there. So I asked my mom if I could actually borrow her truck and drive down to this event for the weekend, and of course she said yes. So I'm standing in the driveway telling her goodbye before I head out, and what I actually didn't tell her was that I didn't have a hotel room to stay in. Mm-hmm. I wanted to save as much money, right. So I planned on sleeping in the truck for the weekend. That was my intention. And I knew if I told her, she wouldn't let me leave the driveway without giving me some money, which she didn't really have. So right before I left, I snuck inside, grabbed some blankets and pillows, and tossed them in the extended cab part of the truck where I was planning on sleeping, and then took off. So I had packed up all of my personal development audios to listen to on the drive and pulled up where the seminar is being held about an hour after the first session had started. Not knowing what to expect, I get checked in, find a seat towards the back of the room, and the very next speaker that came up on stage was selling something, and that's when I experienced what I now know is buyer's rush for the first time, where everybody gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy this guy's product. And I was actually one of those people that bought it, and to be honest, I don't even remember what that was. All I know is that I had been there less than an hour and just spent about 25% of all the money that I was planning on spending to buy this thing, and the conference hadn't even started yet. So after lunch, this second quote-unquote internet millionaire gets up on stage and tells me that the reason I'm not getting results is because I don't have a mentor. And it just so happens that he has 3 spots open on his schedule for this later that afternoon to do 1-hour mentoring session with the first 3 people who give him $1,000. And it wasn't the first time that I had heard that I needed to invest in a mentor, but I got to be honest, John, man, I just could not wrap my head around the thought of giving a complete stranger $1,000 to do nothing but sit down and have a conversation with me for an hour. I wasn't that advanced in my entrepreneurial career at that point, but that little voice inside me told me that that's what I needed in order to accomplish my dream. So I listened, invested that $1,000 for a 60-minute coaching session. Fast forward later that afternoon, I'm sitting at the table with this guy that I really didn't know. He's jotting down a few things on a napkin and half a torn sheet of paper. And after 50 minutes, he tells me that our time's up and he needs to get to the next person. And I remember saying to myself, okay, well, first of all, you still owe me 10 minutes. And, I'm beating up on myself. Good call, Justin. There goes another $1,000 down the drain. And, I can still remember the feelings of pain and frustration that I felt walking away from that table. The late night sound of mom crying and over bills, that was like playing in my head. And not to mention the sheer frustration of knowing that it was my fault that she was there, and there was nothing that I could do to take the pain away from her. And here I was 8 hours away spending the last little bit of money that I had accumulated on a 50-minute conversation with a complete stranger, trying to turn this dream of mine into a reality. And so I really felt horrible in that moment. I felt like a complete loser. All I wanted to do was curl up in a tiny ball and cry. And that's actually what I did. As I walked out from the table, the only thoughts that were in my head were thoughts of anger. I didn't even go back to the next session. The next session, I completely left the event. Instead, I went to the parking lot. I unlocked my mom's car, or my mom's truck. I ripped out all of my personal development audios, my trainings, everything that I had brought with me, which was pretty much my entire collection, and I threw them in the first trash can that I spotted. And I started to drive home. I was done with trying to build an online business. I was done chasing the stupid dream that I had, and I quit. And I have to say that that's probably my worst entrepreneurial moment. What's interesting is that on that drive home, I was doing everything I possibly could to get my mind off of what had just happened. And it was late. I was tired. So I had to keep the radio on so I wouldn't fall asleep. And after about an hour of driving, I noticed that no matter what radio station I would turn it to, there seemed to be a message there for me in the form of a song or a program or whatever was on that particular station. And John, it's really hard to explain, but it's almost as if God himself was speaking to me through the radio programs, and the message he was telling me was, Justin, just because you want to quit right now doesn't mean that I'm ready for you to quit. You're meant to do this, and if you decide that you want to continue working towards this dream that you've got, I'm going to be here right by your side to help you along the way. You don't have to do it on your own. Just implement what you learned during your coaching session, and the rest will take care of it. And so I'm hearing this all the way home. Like, this is the message that's going on in my head. And long story short, by the time I got home, I was more fired up and excited about making my dream a reality. I didn't have any training because I threw it all away, but I was I'd done a 180 through everything, and I was fired up, ready to go back to work on my business. And just 91 days later, I'd sold over $100,000 worth of affiliate products, turned in my final resignation letter to my primary job, and went full-time online at that point.
There's a quote that just sprung into my mind when you were talking about driving home, and it felt like every song, every commercial was for you. And that is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you probably had heard all those words for weeks and weeks and months prior, but you weren't ready. So you weren't hearing those words. You were just kind of listening to them. And I think this is a really powerful lesson for Fire Nation, is that when you are ready to really embrace and absorb the content that you need to make that next step, that is when the teacher, the words, the wisdom will appear. And Justin, I want to move forward into 513, results513.com, because you made quite a shift. I mean, you were making over 7 figures a year. You were rocking and rolling. Why Results 513? Why did you make that shift, and why is it different?
Results 513, I started realizing that I said earlier that I had quit, or I got bored and shut down my business. And it wasn't that I really got bored. I say that I got bored, but really what it was is I had created a prison for myself. I had created another job, and I, number one, wanted to get out of that. But the second thing is I had realized since doing that there was something about having a business partner that complements my strengths and the things that I don't like doing. Find somebody that, that does like doing those. And so I was sort of looking, honestly, I was looking to do something different. I had a lot of experience. I had a lot of connections, and I found the business partner, and we decided, we started sharing our vision for, what we wanted to see and what we were frustrated with, the industry, and why so many people were not getting results. Like 2% of the statistic was like 2% of the people that start an online business actually become profitable in it. And that's just, it wasn't something that I really was satisfied with. And so I wanted to figure out, well, why is that number so low, and what can I do about it? And so I met somebody that's, after having several conversations, I realized that, okay, well, these conversations are a little bit different. She's talking more so about the results of her students and her people versus what's in it for her, which is sort of where I was coming from and what I was looking for. So, that's how I found my business partner, and we decided to start the journey together.
So Results 513, you guys are rocking and rolling. What are some current ways specifically that you are generating revenue?
So a couple of ways that we're generating revenue. We basically have a membership site that's filled with literally hundreds of step-by-step, over-the-shoulder type of training videos on anything and everything you would ever want to know about starting and growing a business on the internet. What makes it unique is we require them to take a detailed questionnaire before they actually access that content. That way we can only deliver training videos that are specific to that individual person based on their skills, their budget, their experience, their goals, everything that they answer in that questionnaire. Because let's face it, nobody wants to sit down and just watch hundreds of hours worth of training videos. It's actually it's not good for business either. So that's the primary way people pay us a monthly membership fee to be a part of that community. And we also have a small mastermind group that people pay to be a member of as well.
So Justin, if you could sum it up in just one sentence that you really want to make sure that Fire Nation understands from your origin story, from that really incredibly tough moment that you experienced all the way up through results513.com. I mean, what is the one takeaway that you want to make sure our listeners get from these stories?
Never forget that in the exact moment that you have a desire to achieve or obtain anything, whatever it is, in that exact moment, you also have the ability to make it happen. If you can think it, you can do it. God doesn't give us a desire for something without also giving us the ability to obtain it. So the takeaway is never let someone tell you that your dreams are out of reach, including yourself. Don't even let that someone be yourself.
So Justin, we're about to enter the lightning round, but before we do, let's take a minute to thank our sponsors. If you're wondering how your small business can stand out in today's increasingly competitive marketplace, I've got one word for you: branding. While building a brand may be easier and more affordable than you imagined, it still does require some time and money. So why is it worth the effort? Because it allows you to stand out from all the rest of the businesses out there. When customers have several choices, branding helps them make a decision. Your brand should highlight your unique virtues and let customers know what they can expect from your small business. In a business climate where the internet, social media, and technology create a lot of static, it's crucial to develop a clear brand voice to cut through the noise. Whether you need a logo to launch your brand, a t-shirt to show it off, or a website to bring it online, 99 Designs is a great place for you to build your brand. Visit 99designs.com/fire and get a $99 upgrade of services free. Are you looking to hire but not sure where to find the best candidates? I know the feeling. We only have so much time in a day, and we all know that hiring can be a tough process. The time commitment, having to sift through resume after resume, investing your time in multiple interviews, plus posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates anymore. Good news. Thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, I can post to 100 plus job sites with one single click and be instantly matched to candidates from over 4 million resumes. Just post once, and within 24 hours, your candidates will be rolling into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. All you have to do is choose your top candidates. ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses, and you can try it today for free. Try ZipRecruiter to get your perfect candidate before they go someplace else. Try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/fire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/fire. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/fire. Justin, are you prepared for the lightning rounds?
I am. Let's do it.
What was holding you back from becoming an entrepreneur?
Not knowing the possibility of creating the life I wanted to live was even an option. Once I found out it was an option and I hit my draw the line in the sand moment, I was off and running from there.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
Make all your decisions from a place of love and strive for excellence instead of perfection.
What is a personal habit that you believe contributes to your success?
So I have a personal success ritual and a business success ritual that I follow every single day. I follow the personal success ritual to the letter for the first 60 to 90 minutes after I wake up each day. And the business success ritual is the exact same, but it's the first 60 or 90 minutes that I'm actually in my office doing work. And both of these are like very detailed set of instructions that tell me exactly what I need to do in order to start off my day on the right foot. I mean, very, very specific, like step 1, walk in door. Step 2, put bag down on table. Step 3, turn on computer. That specific.
We think that might be a little anal retentive, Fire Nation, but everything that we do from the moment we wake up starts draining our mental bandwidth. And the more things we can just take off of the decision-making matrix of our mind and just put into automatic mode, the better. And that's why you see so many people who are successful and get so much stuff done have rituals they follow religiously. And Justin, do you have an internet resource like Evernote that you can share with our listeners?
Simpleology. I use it to manage my day. It's one of the best time management and productivity tools that I've ever found.
How specifically do you use it?
The Start My Day feature, when I log in, it walks me through a process called Start My Day. And I don't start any day without going through that process, because it takes it's got what's called a dream catcher, where I can capture all of my ideas throughout the day. As I get them, I just dump them in this dream catcher. And then whenever I do start my day, it forces me along a sequenced set of steps that allow me to process those entries from the day before, the things that I didn't get done the day before, anything that I've added, as just a random idea or thought. And it allows me to process them in a very systematic way. And after about 5 or 6 minutes, I get through the process and I have the daily targets that I'm looking for, and they're right in front of me, and those are the things that I need to do for that day.
If you could recommend one book for our listeners, what would it be and why?
Man, there's so many great books. I would have to say Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield. Because one of the things that I've noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is procrastination, especially when it comes to things that require creative thinking, which coincidentally happens to be also some of the most important work that entrepreneurs do. So I think every entrepreneur should be required to either read or listen to that book, because it outlines a very simple way to get past that resistance of procrastination or perfectionism and just do the work in the fastest time possible. It's a very short book. I know your audience loves to listen to audiobooks. It's about a 90-minute listen. Very well worth it. I think everybody should listen to that book.
Potentially on a monthly basis if you're still struggling. And Fire Nation, you do love audio. So I teamed up with Audible, and you can actually get that book for free if you haven't already at eofirebook.com. And Justin, this next question's the last of the lightning rounds, but it's a doozy. Imagine you woke up tomorrow morning in a brand new world, identical to Earth, but you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have, your food and shelter taken care of, but all you have is a laptop and $500. What would you do in the next 7 days?
So this is another one of my favorite questions. Day one, I would literally spend all day giving myself in every way I possibly could. I'd give my time, my energy, my talent, my appreciation, including $100 of that $500. I would give it away. Find someone to give it to that's doing work and just make an impact, because I believe that we have to give before we get, and that's how I would start with day one. Day two, depending on, I'm assuming that this new world has internet and all the same stuff that's identical to Earth. So day two, I would spend all day uncovering problems, fears, frustrations that need to be solved in that world and make a list of them. Day three, I would review that list of problems, decide on one that I wanted to go after and help solve. Then I would spend the rest of day three learning everything I could about the avatar that has that specific problems, what keeps them up at night, the fears, the frustrations, and exactly why they're looking for this particular solution. Day four, I would create some sort of giveaway, whether it's a free PDF report or video that solves the biggest problem that my avatar has. And I would put up a page, a very simple page, where they can get it for free by giving me their name, their email, phone number, or Facebook or Skype info, something like that. I'd also write 7 to 10 follow-up emails that are designed to continue to develop the relationship and build, between me and my subscribers. And I would do this by adding more value for free, giving them a glimpse into my personal life. These emails would also be designed to sell that solution to their problem that I'm helping them solve. That would probably take about $100 of the budget. So that would leave me with, $300 now. Day 5, the first half of the day I would spend setting up and launching my advertising campaign, something like Facebook or Google or whatever the search engine is in this new world, where we can set up ads and target specific people. I'd set it to spend about $100 a day on Facebook advertising to get targeted people to the page where they can give me their information. The second half of that day, I would do nothing but reach out to the people that actually opt in, and I would have a personal conversation with them, just offer them the solution. $100 a day in targeting advertising will probably give me a good solid base of people that I know have the problem that whatever product or service I'm selling is going to solve. And then day 6 and 7 is just more of the same, more personal conversations, more follow-up, reinvest any profits from those first few days, the first 2 days, back into the business, and then just scale up from there.
Systematic, Fire Nation, is the one word I would use to describe Justin. And it's so important to have systems and to understand how to put it all together. And Justin, what I want you to do now is share the best way that we, Fire Nation, can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually put together a very special page, and it's just for your audience, your listeners. And that is results513.com/fire. So results513.com/fire. There's also a very awesome gift that we decided to make available for Fire Nation. Something we've never actually given away before. It's something that others, believe it or not, actually pay $1,000 for, and we're going to give it to your people for free.
Is it what 513 means?
Possibly.
No, probably not.
No, it's not. That is not available for
of course not.
But yeah, we've got some stuff set up. It's got all my contact info. So results513.com/fire. If you want to learn about me personally, you can go to aboutjustinglover.com. Email is justin@results513.com. And yeah.
Fire Nation, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And you have been hanging out with Justin G and JLD today. So keep up the heat and head over to eofire.com. Just type Justin in the search bar. His show notes page will pop right up. And all of this, the gifts, the links, the books, the resources he recommended is all right there. But of course, you can go directly to results513.com/fire and email Justin at results513.com. And Justin, I want to thank you for sharing your journey with Fire Nation today. For that, my friends, we salute you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Right on. Hey, John, thanks for having me. One thing that I would like to mention, that the results513.com/fire, there is a special gift for the first 100 people that actually go and do that. We can't give the $1,000 gift away for free past 100 people. So.
Whoa, Fire Nation, time is ticking. Take action. If you're on your phone right now, go snag it. The first 100 lucky Fire Nationers. And Justin, understood, my friends. Thanks for the gift.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for having me, and take care, Fire Nation.